We're so lucky today to be joined by Stephen Massey. Stephen, thank you so much for being here with us at One Mind at Work and our One Leader's Mind conversation. It's really good to have you with us today.
Daryl, it's great to be here. Thanks so much for the opportunity to chat with you today.
Absolutely. Stephen is co-founder of an amazingly named firm, Meteorite. I love it, Stephen. We're not really here to talk about that, but good job on the naming.
Thanks.
And the director of what we are here to talk about, Health Action Alliance. Stephen, as I review your history and look over your bio, you've had a varied career, really cool journey, like many folks have through multiple career stops. And now you're leading in this impact space.
Yeah.
And I'd love to just have you introduce a little bit about how you got into impact and how your story kind of leads to where we are today.
Yeah, well, Daryl, thanks for the opportunity. I'm a first-generation Cuban American. My family came to this country in 1963 on a raft. And, as a child, I was really taught by my family to contribute and give back to the country that gave my family its freedom. And so for my whole life, really as early as I can remember, I have been focused on impact and trying to make this world a better place. I started my career at the National Security Council at the White House as a White House National Security Fellow. And there I was really focused on a region of the world that's in the news a lot today, in Russia and Ukraine. And after leaving the Clinton administration, I moved to Moscow and started an HIV/AIDS organization there, focused really on mobilizing the business and entertainment communities in Russia and Ukraine to respond to the world's fastest rate of new infection at the time. And it was in that early part of my career that I really developed interest and passion for mobilizing business to tackle big social problems. And that's what Meteorite does. And that's really what the Health Action Alliance is all about, harnessing the power of business to improve the health and wellness of people all over this country.
And I'm sure that adds some real perspective on the happenings in our world today, but also the eye-opening dynamics of working internationally for impact. It is interesting, and every place is a bit different, isn't it?
It is, and I spent the first part of my career working in Russia and Ukraine, and then working globally on issues around HIV and AIDS specifically, and with the private sector, mostly in the entertainment industry. And what I discovered is that there are really important ways that businesses can strengthen communications and outreach and support for not only their employees, but their customers, their supply chains, and other stakeholders. That is true in the United States, and it's true around the world. Particularly at a time where there is a crisis in trust and confidence in other institutions like government and in media. Business really has emerged as one of, if not the most trusted institution in our society. And so there's an important opportunity, I think, for all of us as we think about the future of impact to find ways to harness the power of the private sector and leverage the trust that they have with their employees, with their customers, and with other stakeholders to be able to affect change.
What a perfect transition to the creation of Health Action Alliance, which is this entity created by a group of partners to focus on the COVID-19 pandemic and business leaders and company responses, employer responses to COVID-19, and talk about a situation in which we didn't know who to trust. We had no stable source of information. The real facts on the ground changed regularly. Even the experts had to catch up at times. And Health Action Alliance was there, created to stand in the gap in the midst of COVID. And did it really effectively impacted many businesses. And now, I remember when we first talked, you said the founders of Health Action Alliance and our team have realized we are going to have to do work around mental health in the workplace. And I'd love to know how that shift happened from this huge lift through the pandemic to now mental health in the workplace. What happened?
Well, you described it correctly, Daryl. The Health Action Alliance was really created as a joint initiative of leading public health, business, and communications organizations that recognized that there was a real need as we were embarking on what would be one of the most challenging public health issues of our time, that is vaccinating as many Americans as possible in the shortest amount of time. They recognized that leadership from the business community could really be transformative and helping get shots into arms. And so it was the Business Roundtable in partnership with the Ad Council, the CDC Foundation, the De Beaumont and the Robert Wood Johnson Foundations that came together and said, look, let's create an organization that can serve the business community, coordinate communications, and make sure that businesses large and small had access to free tools, resources, and training to be able to help accelerate the pace of vaccinations and really support workers across the country. As 2021 unfolded, what we heard from the thousands of employers that were part of our network was that there were pandemic adjacent issues that also would benefit from that kind of coordinated communications and public health support. And at the top of that list was workplace mental health. I think that's because there's a growing acknowledgement that COVID-19 really exacerbated a mental health crisis that already existed before the pandemic, of course, but it really brought into focus some of the challenges that especially key communities and disproportionately impacted groups, including people of color and frontline workers, they faced a really tough 2 years. And so as the Omicron wave has waned, it was their feedback that really focused our attention on how can we bring the expertise and the network of the Health Action Alliance, how can we bring to that network best-in-class tools and resources to be able to help strengthen their capacity to deliver quality mental health support and treatment access to their workers. And Daryl, that's why we reached out to you. We believe working together, we can really affect change across the business community, and I'm thrilled with our partnership.
You know, one thing I really love, Stephen, is, and you mentioned it, is the focus on individuals who can be impacted by the workplace, but also some workplaces that wouldn't have all of the resources that maybe a large global company would have to address these and to create them at no cost or very low cost for individuals in those settings. It's a powerful impact, and it's part of what we're looking ahead together to May to help accomplish. Do you mind explaining a little bit about the plans for May as we really unveil some of the work that we've been doing together?
Yeah, well, I'm excited for May. It feels like it's finally here. Finally here. And you know, what's great about the month of May is it is that moment with Mental Health Awareness Month where we can focus the country's attention on this issue. You know, every month should be Mental Health Month, and May is an important opportunity to harness that energy and bring it really into clear focus. And so, Daryl, I'm thrilled that on May 5th, the Health Action Alliance, together with One Mind and our partners at the Ad Council and the SHRM Foundation and the American Psychological Association and Mental Health Action Day, are coming together to organize a workplace mental health action summit. It's a free 2-hour event, virtual, really designed to provide a strong foundation and overview to any company at any point in their mental health journey, helping them to create a culture of psychological safety and really understand the role that the employer needs to play in identifying workplace stressors and reducing those risks and creating a culture where leaders and managers can lead supportive conversations with their workers. We're also going to be tackling benefits and treatment and access, as well as strategies for companies to be able to center equity in their mental health strategy. This 2-hour summit will really launch a new series of programming from the Health Action Alliance and One Mind, working together with the Ad Council to be able to provide businesses with free access to tools, resources, and training from our organizations. That way, small businesses that might not be able to access these types of services normally will have the chance to get free tools and training from us to help them prioritize mental health in their workplace and make sure that their people are supported. So I'm excited about what is coming. May 5th is just around the corner. And if folks listening today would like to register, you can do so right now at healthaction.org/register. Again, the event is free and happening on May 5th.
The last update I saw, there were over 500 people registered. Stephen, I'm sure that keeps growing, but any number can come because it's virtual, and the content will be very, very rich. It's a really exciting day, and I imagine if it's successful, like it looks like it will be, then this will be the first of many of these kinds of interactions.
Yeah, and thanks to you, Daryl, for really helping us identify expert speakers from organizations across the country who are going to be joining us to share best practices and lessons learned from their own workplaces and workforces. We're excited to hear from them and create this conversation.
Yeah, and May is great. May is important. It's everything needs a launching point, and May is the perfect month. But you mentioned something important, that every month, every day is Mental Health Action Day, really. And I'm interested, as you look ahead to the next year, the next 2 years, what excites you the most? What's the potential? Where do you think we can really start to get traction as we move out into the medium and longer term effort?
Yeah, well, Daryl, I think there's an important opportunity now as the pandemic is beginning to wane, that we can really focus the business community on what are emerging health challenges. And mental health, I think, as I mentioned earlier, really is at the top of the list across the business community. This is new. I think 3 to 5 years ago, if you'd asked business leaders to rank what are some of the top issues that they're facing, I think most business leaders would not have put mental health at the top of that list. But today there is this focus and this, I think, understanding that business action is not only good for a company's bottom line, but it's really important in this market, in this labor market, to make sure that businesses can support their workers and attract young workers to come into their organizations. Young workers are especially concerned about mental health. And so this is an important opportunity for businesses to strengthen their business, improve their own resilience, and support their people. So I'm excited to work with you and with others to inspire business action. It's time for businesses to take these steps. Of course, there are leaders across the private sector who have been doing this, but there are thousands of companies who haven't yet begun this journey. And so this is an opportunity, I think, for us to work together to be able to inspire that kind of forward action across the business community. I'm also,
if there's any, please go ahead.
No, I'm also really excited to help work with you and bring some of the best practices and lessons learned from this work to shape the conversation. One Mind at Work has done such a powerful job shaping the conversation about workplace mental health, and let's build on that over the coming years as more and more companies, particularly small and medium-sized enterprises, what can we create as a playbook for businesses to really support actions and businesses of any size? I think that's going to be really, really key. And then, Daryl, I know you're really focused on evaluating the impact of this work. And so this, to me, is a new frontier. How can we really measure and hold businesses accountable for the investments that they're making so that they can see for themselves the impact of this work? And I'm excited to partner with you and be part of that thought leadership.
Well, if leadership is about anything, it should be about helping other people thrive. And that takes a team effort. And that's why I'm excited, as you are, about the future, One Mind at Work, Health Action Alliance, other partners, really working hard to make a difference. Stephen Massey, thank you so much for being with us today.
My mother has had depression most of her life.
My uncle committed suicide when he was in his 30s.
I live with bipolar.
Now, more than ever, it's the world's leading cause of disability. Yet research to improve mental health lacks the attention physical health research receives. Visit onemind.org. From the lab to the front lines, accelerating brain health for all. Help us fund new treatments at onemind.org.
I'm living my best life.